how many of you forget what you've read immediately after you've finished reading something? And sometimes if you think that a book is going to change your life, but after a few years your bad habits still remain the same. And so today I'm going to be talking about how to read faster and make the most out of your book. And so first I want to talk about comprehension. And so basically words per minute don't really matter, but it doesn't really matter. And everyone has different reading speeds. Some people might read at 100 words per minute and some might read at 500. But what really matters is your level of comprehension after you read something. And most people think that reading plus understanding just means that they comprehend it. However, there's a difference between being able to answer a simple question about something and between writing an entire essay about it. And so you have to think about like what depth of comprehension you achieve while as reading quickly as well. And so, for example, take The Lord of the Flies, and basically, if you take it at face value and just read the words, you might just read it about boys fighting on an island. However, actually, the author's trying to the author's trying to like give the concept of how cruel human nature is if there are no rules, and so you have to like really read between the lines and try to understand and comprehend the true meaning of the book. And there's basically 4 levels of comprehension and strategies that help you achieve a high level. And so the first level is the literal level, and it's basically like just taking it at face value and reading word by word. And there's a lot of speed reading techniques to help you get better at this level. So for example, one could be stopping subvocalization, and subvocalization is where you have, whenever you read, you have a voice in your head, and you can only limit your reading speed to the speed at which your voice at which you speak. And so there's lots of techniques to help try and reduce that. And there's also grouping words together. So instead of reading one word at a time, you can read 3 or even 4 or 5. And so these are all quite useful for like trying to, I guess, read words more quickly. And another, like the most useful one is smart skimming. And it's called smart skimming because you don't just like skim, but you also see where to pause and slow down, and also which parts are important and the parts you need to go back to. And I'm sure you've heard of IELTS, and it's basically an exam that foreign students take to get into the UK. And so speed skimming would be a really useful technique there, since they can like quickly look at the extract given and quickly find the key points and information that they need for the questions. Secondly is the implied, and basically it's like where you not only look at the words but also the deeper meaning behind them. And like I said before with The Lord of the Flies, it's not just about boys fighting, but about how important rules and the cruelty of human nature. And basically you feel like at this level you feel like you properly understand what the text is saying. However, you won't like truly be able to memorize it, and maybe in like 2 weeks many concepts and facts will just have like escaped you, and you won't be able to like remember or put any of those concepts into use. And so a lot of people might think that it's just bad memory. However, it's actually just not really knowing the 3rd and 4th techniques. And so you haven't really got a really deep understanding for it. You haven't really gotten like a really true mastery over it. And third is like the critical level, and basically you'll be able to, I guess, look into things more deeply and have more mastery. And many people are stuck on levels 1 and 2, and where it's basically just more focused on the speed in which you read words. However, at this point, it's a bit like a bottleneck flip, where like the speed at which you read words isn't that important, but what is more important is the level of comprehension that you have. And yeah, so for example, I remember studying a book in class called Things Fall Apart, and basically, yeah, I read it all on the first day that we were given the book, and yeah, I thought I already knew everything. However, and I found it quite annoying when my teacher would just spend a whole lesson on a single chapter. However, it really made me realize that you can really still go deeper and still understand more concepts and how you can relate to them. And so one of them was about the colonialism, and so I always thought that before like listening to everyone's opinions, I always thought that colonialism was a bad thing since it took away like the identity of certain groups. However, after listening to a lot of points, I also realized that it could also have been a good thing since before colonialism, a lot of I guess cultures. I mean, a lot of like societies were just underdeveloped, and they also had a lot of primitive I guess technology, and they even had a lot of conflicts with each other. However, after colonialism, it was, I guess, there was a lot more technology, and there were less conflicts as well. And yeah, furthermore, with The Lord of the Flies, where it shows like nature versus nurture, where the nature, whether when the boys were left on the island, even though they were brought up quite well, even though they were brought up quite well, they still ended up fighting each other, and yeah, so I guess you can still go a lot deeper into it and still understand and have different viewpoints on concepts, and yeah. Fourthly is the adaptive level, where you'll be able to, I guess, apply and adapt the knowledge for your own purposes, and yeah, so there's basically three things to it. It's abstract, apply, and attack. And so abstracting is basically taking the key information and turning it into a purpose that you need, and applying it is yeah, to your own situations. And then attack is if you look for like counter arguments, or if you look for ways you can improve on it. And yeah, I remember reading a book called Atomic Habits, and I remember finding one of the points really useful, which was finding a trigger for habits. And after reading it, I put it into use by because I wanted to go on a morning run every day. I put my shoes and my clothes next to my bed, so it was really easy to just get up and immediately go for a run. And yeah, that acts as the trigger, so for me to just immediately send the signal to go for a morning run into my head as soon as I wake up. And you can also question and critique after reading. So yeah, why was this important, or what does this compare to what I know? And yeah, you'll be able to make meaningful connections. And even though it might take time, like eventually, whereas if you just go deeper into it, you'll be able to understand it deeply. And whereas on the other hand, you would have to read it several times over to I guess fully understand it. And yeah, it can still slip out of your memory sometimes as well. So yeah, just I guess going deeper into it and making connections will help you just put it in your brain and like put it into use as well. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope that that after listening to these points, next time you read the book, you'll be able to find the key ideas and put it into use as well into your own lives. Thank you for listening.